Hello everybody. So as you have seen in our last session, we have seen the IQ work process, how the log management, and we have seen various types of logs. Today we are going to learn about the spool work process, which is print processing. Okay, so minimum one spool work process need to be there in an SAP system. Okay, so basically here if you see how the print goes to your local printer. So installing the printer on your local machine, and then you are configuring that printer in the SAP, and if any user access to the printer, he can access the printer from its local operating system through SAP. So if you see, a spool request contains information on the data to be output, its formatting, and the printer model use. So if you see, there are various types of printers, HP, LaserJet, so many other models of printers. So the spool request, what it will do, it will generate and stored in the temporary sequential file, which we call as a temc file. So whatever the spool request generated, they are kept in the temc file. So see, basically spool requests can be created by dialog work processes or by background work processes. Spool work processes do not create spool requests. So if any user wants to print immediately, he can directly use the dialog work process. Okay, so some other users want it to be print through background work process, like when the program ends, they want the all the data to be printed, once that job is done. So this is how it works through dialog and background work processes. Spool work process formats the data specified in the spool request and creates an output request. Okay, so the output request contains all the data in an appropriate format for the printer. So how you are going to see the output request, where are the requests, you can see, I will show you. See, the transaction for configuring the printers is SPAD. What is that? SPAD. So if you go into this transaction, you will see output devices. So here, if you just want to see how many by default the printers are, there are some default printers which SAP has. Okay, and if there is no printer defined, then you can define the printer. You have to create the printer. You have to then assign the printer to the user profile. So this is just the concept I'm trying to explain about the spool request. But in our spool administration topic, you are going to see more about the spool, how you are going to see, how you are going to create the printers, and how are you going to assign the printer to the user. And how to see the spool request, I'm going back /n. SP02 is the transaction where you can see all the spool request number here. Okay, who gave the printer at what time, what date, and how many pages he has given the printer. Okay, so these kind of things you can view by going to transaction SP02. So as I said, like, we need to first configure the printer at the OS level, and then we need to configure the printer at the SAP level. So in any SAP system, the connection between a spool work process and the operating system pool process is known as access method. Now, here very good point I came to tell you that a spool work process, as I said, formats the data specified in the spool request, okay, and it creates the output request. So the output request contains all data in an appropriate format for the printer. So the data can either be passed on an appropriate operating system spool process locally or remotely. So these are nothing but local and remote. So what happened? You can either give locally, or you can either remotely. For example, you have the printer, for example, say in the Chicago location, and you are trying to give the print from other location like Washington, which is to the central location, even though you can print it remotely. Okay, so as I said, like in SAP system, the connection between a spool work process and the operating system spool process is known as access method. So there are more access methods than I talked about local remote. So these local and remote are the two mostly common used access methods for connecting printers to SAP systems. So in this concept, like remote or local do not refer to the physical location of the output, but to the place where the spool work process is connected to the operating system spool process. Okay, so as I said, like when we go into the spool administration topic, you will be going to learn more about how you are going to configure this local and remote system to give the printer output to the printer. Okay, so in next session we are going to learn about background processing. Okay, so thank you so much for attending.